Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my daily YouTube video. I am Nico and I talk about self-improvement, business, and societal tics. Today I decided to make this video because I ran out of ideas and I actually found this idea written down years ago on my notes app on my iPhone. So I decided to not overthink it, to just write down a couple simple points about what I was going to say and to just start recording. So here we go. How does Hollywood, how do movies give unrealistic expectations to young men? I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I was hecka super freaking influenced by TV shows and movies when I was a kid. I remember sometimes when parents were lecturing me or we got into arguments or whatever, I morally judged them based on what things that happen in Good Luck Charlie or any movies I've seen. And today in the real world, I find that people still follow kind of what TV shows and movies teach them. That's kind of because movies kind of reflect the lessons that movies and Hollywoods teach you, in my opinion, pretty strongly resemble the average person's way of being and their morality. Let me explain some of these things to you real quick. Number one, so kind of like the idea of being yourself and finding out who you really are and that you're fine the way that you are. I think that can have a lot of good, but also there's the counterpoint of you need to be better, which some people say it's toxic, but I'm not here to argue that. Let me tell you specifically why Hollywood, what I believe Hollywood harms young men. It's to do with girls, so we're going to talk about girls. The simp always gets the girls. The girls in movies. Think about Spider-Man. I can't name that many movies at the top of my head. I'm not a Hollywood geek, so I'm afraid that I'm sorry. You film bros, you're not geeks. That's just the first word that comes to mind. I have not watched. I'm just not a film bro at all whatsoever. It's just something. This is an idea of little Nico from years ago. But I'm going to stop excusing myself. I want you to forgive me for my lack of terms and my ignorance, which I'm sure there will be a lot. So the simps always get the girls. The simps are the geeks, the nerds, the people who are socially inept and kind of weird. They get the pretty attractive girl at the end. And why does she like him? She usually starts off with a jock, but I don't know, the movie progresses and he somehow ends up with her. What does this teach? This teaches young men that they need to be like those people to get the reward, the girl. Yes, I know how that sounds, putting women as rewards, but that's just how it's kind of framed, and that's what I took out. That's what young men are still taking out. That's what they're getting out of movies. Why is this an issue? One, for like a lot of liberals might think this. I'm saying sorry. I'm not attacking you liberals. I'm just saying that red pillars and liberals, or whatever the opposite of red pillars is, blue pillars, might agree on this and why it's wrong. For red pillars, the simp, the guy, doesn't do the actual work or doesn't have incentive to become the actual type of person that gets the girls. And this is important because they really have to explain why people want the opposite gender to be attracted to them. Even if I say women are the price, this is just for explanation. Does that make sense? And the other side, the blue pillars, the liberals, or for lack of a better term, that's what I could come up with right now. Now women are pedestalized and kind of seen as angels and kind of not very human. And now men have these expectations that they need to be like these characters, and you should remember, like I said earlier, these characters are kind of weird. They're socially inept. So once people who are like that actually interact with the opposite gender in the real world, they're creepy. That's just how it is. they're creepy. So, and this happens in every single movie. Okay. My second point is looks don't matter as much. Again, the guy is also sometimes pretty often not the most attractive. He ends up with the model girls. I think over the past year or two, the looks maxing and the black pill has taken a lot of popularity. So, and if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically this trend of people saying looks matter is the number one factor when it comes to dating. And I would have to say I agree with that because, first of all, you guys have to agree with the premise, or you don't have to, but I assume the premise. I assume that an ideal relationship involves real physical attraction. And that's when people meet each other, that's usually the first thing they look at. Is this guy attractive enough? And if you don't pass that, it doesn't matter. And I seriously believe the majority of guys who get rejected or friend zoned, if they were more attractive, they would have done better. And hold on, I know a lot of you guys will disagree with this. You guys might say, no, we just weren't compatible enough. He was weird. He would get a higher percentage of wins over rejections at the bare minimum. I think that's a common ground we could agree with. The third point, this kind of applies to young men and women. It's crazy how much cheating is normalized. I sincerely believe if you took cheating out of movies, it would still occur, but not as often. It's pretty crazy. Literally, 90% of movies that I see that have anything to do with love, there's cheating involved, and it's so normalized. And like I was saying earlier, people adopt the morality and values they see off of movies. I know movies don't teach to cheat, but just showcasing it makes people more likely to adopt the traits. And I'm sure I can find data on this, but if you're around an environment that cheats, you're more likely to become a cheater yourself, even though cheating is usually never celebrated. Actually, heard that on the TikTok. Alright. You guys go and hate all you want. This is just me making my daily video and attempting to speak better, and I did alright. I'm not super proud of it. Bye.